Hey everybody, good morning, it's Rhonda. It is Wednesday. I haven't done a video in a while. I have been I watched it's the day after the Chauvin trial. George Floyd, everybody I'm sure had watched it or had something to do with it, but I wanted to tell you I did readings about it, about the outcome in last week, and I did have one vision, and I would like to share it with you. On my personal thoughts, it's kind of like you get sucked into this when you start watching it. Like it's been so intense, this BLM Antifa shit, and Republicans against liberals, black against white. It's just been jammed down our throats. All this other liberal crap. As far as I'm concerned, the liberals can go die, because the stuff they're trying to push on kids, on laws, on the most ridiculous things, the most absurd, and that the GOP and the Republicans are just they're not doing anything about it. They're like do something about it. Get that voter fraud thing figured out. You know, they keep standing in the way. Yet they say there's nothing to hide. But people are standing up. I let our voices be heard. Like one of my visions said, we need to be heard. We need to be heard. That was the point. The people have been standing up. The border, whatever. So anyway, I did these card readings about the outcome, the verdict of the George Floyd. Obviously, they can't have an acquittal on this trial of Chauvin, because the wild animals will go crazy, torch if it's guilty of any kind or less than the 3 charges of 1 murder, 3rd-degree murder, and 2 manslaughter charges. They will go wild and take a temper tantrum tizzy and destroy more cities like they've done for the last over a year over George Floyd. I have watched all the videos, been on several different commentary stations, probably watched hundreds of videos about it, seen the videos, heard the forensic evidence, everything. First, I was a little bit more on the Floyd side, like, well, maybe, the guy did, but then the more evidence that came in, the more I kind of went along with, it didn't look like he had his knee on his neck. The cop was only 140 pounds. George Floyd was 245 and 6'4", and the cop was only 5'8". He didn't look like he was on his neck. He looked like he was on his shoulder. Plus, Floyd was ODing. He took his last dose in the car where they found chewed up fentanyl and meth tablets, which he had already ingested some. You could see it in his mouth. He was resisting arrest. He was out of control. It was so obvious. This guy was like if he was trying to win an Academy Award for a crazy person, he was doing a good job. It was sickening to see a grown man acting like this. I mean, all they were trying to do was take him down to the station probably and charge him for passing a counterfeit bill, or try to find out whether he even knew it was a counterfeit bill. It was no biggie. The guy had been arrested before. He had priors. He was a drug addict. It was like, what was the big deal that he had to do that? He wanted to pop those last pills. He was sitting in the car with his drug dealer and another person. And he was looking for something under the seat, and the car was scared. So he's telling him to get out of the car. They finally managed to get him out of the car, but he's got stuff hidden in his pocket, including a pot pipe. I don't care about pot, but I don't know if it's legal or whatever in Minneapolis. Anyway, so I kind of was sort of going with the other theory that maybe Chauvin did not do this. Then the no damage to his neck, all this stuff. And there was no way Chauvin was going to get a fair trial. There was no way. With protesters outside of the courtroom. You're sitting there. The jury was tampered with. They were threatened. Maxine Waters gets out there, the prune-faced bitch. She gets out there and she's inciting. She hates white people. She's inciting a riot, which could have caused a mistrial right there. You know, telling to go tell them, go get them. She's done this before. The bitch ought to be out of Congress. Anyway, you know, and one of the jurors finds a pig's head on her porch in the morning. Those jurors were mighty brave people, I'll tell you that much. And that they weren't sequestered is a crime. And it wasn't a change of venue? How could they get a fair trial in Indianapolis, where this happened? Where George had a shrine for himself. This thug had a shrine. Yes, he was a human being. But he was by no way innocent. The year before, he'd committed a robbery and had held a pistol to a pregnant woman's belly. This is a messiah. This is the next messiah. Anyway, so he created a cult following now. No, it's not vodka. It's diet soda and seltzer. Anyway, I did 2 readings. Okay. The readings said, I pulled, these were basically the cards I kept pulling. I got a judgment card, something similar to a judgment card. These were the last couple readings I did. I pulled a 3 and 4 card reading. Judgment means, actually justice came first, which is law. Obviously it's pretty clear. Law, government institutions. It was in right side position, which means it went in clear. It wasn't already decided, like, you know, we're gonna nail this guy to the cross, you know, or something like that. It kind of went in clear. The justice card is the card of, you know, legal things. So this was very clear. This was at the bottom of the box. So it was just saying that this was a law case. This was something that would be looked at, you know, and decided. The second card was the 4 of Cups. This is a purely emotional card. This was in the bottom 3 box. It is a card of having something good. Having something, but never being satisfied. If you look at the picture on some of the other tarot, which I'm very, very familiar with, been using them for decades, and I get feelings from them too. I have intuition about them. It's someone sitting on the ground with 3 cups. 3 cups have to do with emotional things, with things that are close to you, which, you know, that affect your heart and your emotions. You're driven by emotion. And there's another cup sitting a little further away, and the person can't have that cup, but he doesn't realize that he's already got 3 cups of his own, but he wants that cup. So it's basically a card of I want, gimme. I have these, but I want that one too. It's a card of immaturity, emotional and mental immaturity, wanting something that you already have something. You have it, but you want more. Nothing satisfies you. You are emotionally unbalanced because of your desire to get something that you want, and you don't give a damn whom you stomp all over to get it. And that is the mob mentality in the middle of this reading. This is exactly what these people are thinking about the trial, and it was ironically accurate. The justice, the trial, the law was there. Next to this comes this emotionally depleted, demented, violent, chaotic bunch of lunatics that are hell-bent on they don't care who they hurt, just as long as they get their way. Then we get the judgment card. That's the future, which is what we were all waiting on. And it would be a clear cut. It wouldn't be any, we're coming back Tuesday, it's a mistrial, we've got to do it again. It was a clear cut thing, which it was. It was already decided. They was guilty. That's what I said in my reading. I wrote in my Facebook page that it would be a decision. It wouldn't be a like, we're gonna have to redo this, or they already tried to get a mistrial because of all of what I said before, because it was totally unfair. Plus the jurors were being harassed, and the judge said he couldn't guarantee that the jurors' names wouldn't be exposed after the trial. How nice, these people that leave pigs' heads and threaten jurors can't be protected afterwards. They should have been sequestered, and they should have been given total anonymity. Completely. So those were the cards. Then there was this king on top. This was the judge. He was fair. He was actually more on Chauvin's side. It's a little burnt because I also use it for spells. And I used to use this. I have several decks, but this was my spell deck, and I still use it. I'm missing like one card in the deck. But anyway, this was the judge. He was actually on Chauvin's side more, and more supportive towards Chauvin. And that is, if it would have been reversed, he's not a weak judge. He was fair. He was not severe. He was not one-sided. He was actually a good person, a decent person. He saw the way it was. He knew the way things were going to turn out if they didn't find the jury, and the jury knew if they didn't find Chauvin guilty, what hell would break out if Chauvin wasn't found guilty on all three accounts. It would be World War III. He knew this. This man was smart. Then I got the 3 readings I did, the temperance card came up every single time. It just flipped out of the deck at me. It means balancing. It means evening things out. It meant peace. To me, I felt peace. There would be peace. And I was thinking, how the heck could there be peace after this? If he's got a basically good reading here, how could there possibly be peace and balance? And it's like, if this guy's not like found guilty of everything, including Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance, they're gonna tear Minnesota apart, including other states too. So I thought, how could this be? So I did the reading later in the week again. The day before yesterday, and again I got a similar thing. I got the sun, and I did another reading too, and it was very similar. The sun. The sun, when I saw this card, it looked phony to me. It's a good card. It means optimism, just like optimism and good things, happiness, and I was thinking, okay, but it had a phony smile on its face. It's just a card, but that's what I felt. And then we got the 7 of Cups, which means the 7 has to do with inner self-esteem things, and the Cup is an emotional card too. It means things that are dreamy. The 7 is the psychic number. It's the number of thinking and intuition and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And this 7 of Cups means things that are planned in the air. It can be an illusion card. Things that are meant to be seen, but haven't come into fruition yet. They're just seen. They're not real yet. They're just shown out there, like smoke and mirrors kind of thing. You're meaning to do these things, but they're not really. They're just a facade, a screen. That card came up, and then Temperance came up again, and there was peace. And I was thinking, what the hell is this supposed to be? and I had this vision also about a week before I did the reading. There was all this chaos all of a sudden in the back, on my left side, which is the past. And I could see people like running, and dark-haired people, like, and there was wishes of color, and mostly black and white, but there was some color, and I didn't even want to look at it. I just turned my head. It was in the path. I just kind of wished it away. And on the other side was just like a split. And in the future, which is the right, I saw a black, where I usually see visions on a black gray background, so I can see what the vision in the middle. That's the important thing, so that it won't be interfered with by anything else. So it'll be clear what the vision is. That's what it just has a background. It wants me to see one thing. They want me to see one thing. And it was a vision of a woman, and she was holding in her hand a little fetus, a baby, and it was 12 weeks old. And I had seen this picture before, a long time ago, in a magazine or a book or something, and it was a perfect little baby, and it was dead, and it had been spontaneously aborted. It was not an abortion, it was just a miscarriage, and it was gone. It was dead, but it was peaceful, and the woman loved the little baby, and she was just holding it gently, tenderly, and I knew it was over, and it was a beginning that didn't start, because a baby in my visions is a beginning. It did not start. It only went for so long, and it stopped. So it was a beginning that was stopped, and that was an important at 12 weeks, and it was peace. Even though it was unfortunate and sad, it was still peace, going from this chaos to peace. And I came out of that, and I was confused. It was like there was justice. There were selfish people who were destroying other people's property and businesses and ruining all our lives, because we've been bombarded with this. Now it's like you can't even go out of the house without worrying about it getting shot. And then there was a judgment being made that there was nothing else to it. It wasn't like the judge said, well, go back and do it again, a hung jury or something. It was done. I knew that was coming. And then there was the son with a phony kind of smile, like there was something funny about that. It was like a facade. It wasn't a real smile on the sun. I like the picture cards because they can help me explain to my clients what, they get a feel for the card too. They can see it. When they can see it, it helps them get things a little better. And then the Seven of Cups being an illusion, kind of a smoke screen. And then the Temperance, everything peacefully goes out. And after I heard the verdict, I thought, and people were the commentators, like Dr. Steve Turley, Ben Shapiro. I listened to the right-wing news, the right news, the Republican news, and most of us feel the same way, that it should have been maybe one count of manslaughter, or acquitted, or a mistrial or something, because of the reasons I said. Water shooting her mouth off, too much publicity. It was hard. The judge tells them not to look at the news, the jurors, when they go home at night. Especially when you find a pig's head on your porch. Well, anyway, there was something wrong. Everybody felt like there was something wrong. I felt there was something wrong too. And after what I've seen and I've heard, I do believe that this whole thing was set up right even before the trial was started, that they knew if this came back with anything but total guilty on everything, that the country would burn. So the trial was set up that he would be found guilty. He was not found guilty. He may have been found guilty on one count. That wouldn't have been good enough. They still would have rioted. They still would have destroyed. They still would have carried on. He was not found guilty. They said it. They made it public. He'll go on to appear for sentencing or whatever, but he'll be given a new life. The illusions are there. These two cards show there are illusions. It's a smoke screen. They're going to give him a new identity, hide him out. He is not going to be found guilty. The jurors were in on this whole thing. They knew what they had to do. This is justice. We won. But the only way to protect and save our country, people feel cheated right now. I read some blogs and some things. People feel hopeless. They feel like the police must feel absolutely horrible. They must feel like, well, we can't do our jobs anymore. We're not going into those areas anymore because we can't do our jobs. And people must feel totally hopeless, like they lost. I saw the BLM people and react. They looked like a bunch of jumping up in a cage, up and down in a cage. I mean, it was so horrible. And to think that they think they won, let them think they won. But we saved America. But they didn't win. He was found innocent, or he just got one charge, and he'll be starting over with a new life. They were conned again, just like they were conned by the co-founder of BLM. They were conned again by the courts, because that was the only way they could do it. If they would have, like I said, if they would have said what they really thought, it was a real trial, but they had to come up with that decision, or it would have been hell, World War III. And so he was found not guilty, acquitted, or on a much lesser charge, which wouldn't have been good for anybody. So that I know, and I know from that dream that something died from the baby. It was chaos, and all of a sudden it went to peace. Something died. But it was also a new beginning. So hopefully peace will come from this. And Chauvin will. I don't believe he was guilty. I don't. And most of my people, my patriot people, don't believe he was guilty either. And whatever makes them happy. They have mob mentality. They don't have much mentality at all. So that's what I had to say. I'm not posting this in public. I will post it where people can see it privately if they want to. I'm not sharing it because I don't want to be targeted. This is what happened, and this is what I know. I get messages, and my messages, these cards made perfect sense. Especially, and I told my husband, he was right there with me, because he cut one of the decks. And he said, you know, you're right. That sounds about right. And he's kind of a skeptic. He's not into politics like I am, but anyway. So we did win. And it's sad that it's turned this bad, that white hate is just, you know, they think it's so much better on the other side. If they wouldn't be here, they'd be living in a third world country where they'd be getting diseases and AIDS, and they are damn lucky to be here. And yet they're always having their hand out for more and more and more. We want more, you know. We want retributions now for something that happened 150, 200 years ago. I'm first generation American. Like 87%. I don't owe anybody anything, and neither do most of you. We all know that. They keep causing problems. No other race in this country has caused as many problems as they have. So anyway, that's all I had to say. And Patriots, don't be dismayed, because we did win. Let them think what they want, but we won. He's not going to jail. Or if he's going to jail, he's going for a very short time, and then he's going to disappear. And we did win, and it'll eventually get around. And I wish you luck, and I stay safe. It was the only thing they could do, the courts could do. And I feel vindicated, but I also feel sad that this couldn't have been announced properly. And they think the jury were a bunch of cowards. They weren't cowards. They did what they had to do. There was no other choice, because these people are not reasonable. They're zombie apocalypse people. And they really need to go. So do the liberals. And, okay. Well, I love you all. I wish you well. And be safe. And get your tactical gear together. I've already got my stun gun. And a couple other things. My Patriot stuff. And Trump will be back in office this year. Don't worry too much about Biden. He's an idiot. So is Camille, and so is the whole administration. I love you. And I'll keep doing my thing. And God keeps sending me messages. Love you. Bye.